Alright, what is up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and today I'm back here with another video. I know it's been a bit. There hasn't really been much Flyers news or really any hockey news, if I'm being honest with you, to talk about since free agency has ended in the draft and the whole crazy huge offseason the Flyers had. You probably noticed by now I'm in a different spot. I've been putting up some stuff on Twitter and my social media, on Instagram and everything. Pretty much changing everything. The YouTube is essentially going to get a whole revamp. I'm going to be going for a bunch of new stuff. So this is the new spot. I'm in the different side of my room. So now I'm actually, the tripod that my phone is now connected to record this is essentially where my desk was to begin with. It was right around that same area. So it's probably where I would have been sitting is where the tripod is. It's facing the wall. You got part of the big autograph flag that I have here and then part of the Jake jersey that's signed up here. I do apologize for the shadow and stuff. That's kind of just the way it is. Yeah, new setup. Going to be having some new stuff coming behind me. I'm going to be putting some Flyer stuff behind me as well, so you guys can see that stuff. So it's not just like a blank wall. But yeah, in the next handful of days, and I'm sure you'll see it, as I will be posting some stuff. But yeah, I got a whole new camera for the podcast and everything. Going to be getting a new mic soon. A bunch of stuff. So we're getting some upgrades, we're getting some new stuff, and I figured why not for this season, because it's going to be a crazy year for the Flyers, and want to bring you guys the best content possible that I can. But this video is not just a little update on myself. It's actually just more of I guess a very early look at what some possible lines could be and what we could see in training camp. Now, there's been a lot of talk lately of, I've been seeing a lot of talk from that, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, about Morgan Frost. He's a guy that, obviously Frost, he hasn't played a lot of hockey in the last year and a half. He's played 2 organized games, 2 actual NHL games in 2021. He had 2 games played with the Flyers before he got injured on January 19th, the 4th game of the season. If you remember, Couturier got injured in Game 2. Frost ended up coming in. He got injured in Game 4. That was the game that I covered for Flyers Nitty Gritty, and there was a lot of injuries that night. Phil Myers got hurt. Frost got hurt. They both got injured by the same player, Jake McCabe. It was a weird play. Frost kind of went behind the net, and McCabe just kind of came up on him, hit him on this side. And, yeah, Frost ended up having to have shoulder surgery. Yeah, that kept him out pretty much the whole year. He had shoulder surgery in February. In April, we saw him on the ice again. This is a tweet from Jordan Hall. It's good to see Morgan Frost and Ghost on the ice. At the time, Ghost had a minor MCL sprain, so Frost and Ghost were both on the same ice, kind of sharing that time at the time. This was on April 26th. Yeah, one thing I will say is that for Frost, obviously he's coming off a tough injury. It seems like he's rebounded well, so hopefully that kind of leads into camp for him. One thing I will say is that I'm not the person that's going to give up on a player right away. I mean, I'm a guy. I was the guy who literally, I wasn't the only one, but I was one of the handful of people that defended Nolan Patrick until the day he got traded. And I still hope Patrick has a good career, and I really think he will. But if I were to look at some lines, this would be the lineup I would give. I talked about this with Yariv Wallach on Getting Gritty with It. We did that episode a couple of days ago. I'll throw a link to that in the description below if you missed that. But these were the lines that I had. Giroux, Couturier, Konechny, JVR, Hayes, Farabee, Lindblom, Lawton, Atkinson, Allison, Legzinski, or Thompson, and then Legzinski on the wing or Aube-Kubel. Defense is pretty easy. Provielis, Sanheim, Risto, Yandel, or York, and then Braun, and then Morin is a 70, and Hart and Jones. Now, the thing is when I made this, I absolutely hated it, because the problem with it is that the Flyers have a logjam at the wing position. You have lots of loaded guys who can score on the wing. You got TK, you have JVR, you have Farabee. I mean, it's such a logjam. And then I have Allison here on the 4th line. I'm like, I hate that. I don't like that at all. I don't want that to happen, but it might have to. Now notice I don't have Frost in here, right? I don't think Frost is going to make the Flyers out of camp. I think coming off of an injury, I think he's probably going to start the season in the AHL. And that's fine. Majority of Frost's seasons where he produced and played really well, that was down in the AHL with the Phantoms. For the most part, Frost is, again, I seriously loved what Frost brought when we saw him in those 20 games in 2019-20. There was a lot of things that he brought that were just more than scoring and putting up points. He only had 7 points, 2 goals, 5 assists. But what I will say is that he looked very good with Claude Giroux. He looked very good with Travis Konechny. He had some unbelievable plays. He had some set face-offs where they scored a couple times. I mean, there was a lot of times you saw some really good things from Frost, and it was more just 5-on-5 play. Defensively, I think he's a very good player. I think the Flyers are really going to still mold him into a center, because they tried that in 1920, and they would have. This past season, still, he would have been continuously molded into a center, because Couturier was out for a good amount of time in the beginning of the year when he got hurt, and then Frost ended up getting hurt. So then you lost, in the first 4 games there, you lost 2 top 6 centers, and then obviously everybody knows how the rest of the season went. But in 1920, as I said, he had the 20 games with the Flyers. He also had 41 games with the Phantoms, 13 goals, 16 assists for 29 points. He was also an AHL All-Star that year as well. Yeah, I mean, again, I am not one to... I keep seeing a lot of Frost hate, and I keep seeing it, and I'm not 100% sure why. It seems like now that Patrick is gone, Frost is going to be one of the guys that just gets all the heat. I don't think that should be the case. I still think Frost is a very young player. He's only 22 years old. I mean, he still is able to grow and develop into his game. And again, he's just, fighting off that whole injury where he was out the whole season. And obviously had to, he had to travel to Colorado to get the surgery. So that's another thing. Obviously there was a lot that went with it. But overall, I'm not going to sleep on Morgan Frost. I don't want people to quit on him. I keep seeing it, and it's really weird. I don't know why. I don't understand it, if I'm being honest with you. It seems like there's always that thing with Flyers fans where they just continuously harp on young players. Happens all the time. I don't get it. But I think Morgan Frost is going to really develop into a good player. Again, I think for camp, I would love to see him with G and TK. I think they could definitely revisit that. I wouldn't mind seeing him with Cam Atkinson. I wouldn't mind seeing him with Farabee. Really anybody you could put him with. I think if there's one line I'd really like to see, it would probably Lindblom, Frost, Atkinson would be nice. Lindblom, Frost, and TK would be nice. But, let me know your guys' thoughts below. What line would you like to see Frost on? Do you have him penciled in as a third-line center to start the year? You think he makes a team out of camp? We'll see what happens. But remember, guys, podcast articles, those links are on my channel. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys in the next one, and goodbye.